What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Fright Night on Rift to Core Hall. Brian, let's hear the invitation.
Rifts to Core Hall is the map where we have to destroy 10 void shards before timer runs out. Each set of void shards we destroy adds time and reveals the next set. Civilians go to a candy bowl in your base. You can fill the bowl with candy. If there is no candy, the civilians turn into enemies. Your vision is restricted to a tiny blob on the center of your screen.
That's right, we're talking about candy. It's the Halloween mutation, the first ever holiday mutation. So we have Eveling and Zero in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Hello.
Just waking up from a political discussion.
Let's not do that here. Zero, how do we rank the commanders this week?
Okay, so vision will be a pretty big problem. Well, pretty much the only problem, because this mutation's pretty damn easy. So commanders with either like AoE or just being able to either get vision or just damage things without needing that much vision will be good. Of course, sniping slivers instead of like fighting through the bases will help also. And for the feeding candy in the early game is a decent mineral sink, so if you're very mineral heavy in the early game, that could slow you down, but afterwards you just leave static there, so it doesn't matter.
Okay,
So, yeah.
how about you, Eveling?
Yeah, I Zero pretty much hit most of the points right there. And also any commander that is naturally strong at Rifts to Corral is going to do well on this. It's the candy bowl can be a thing if you ignore it, and the other aspect is to deal with anything that does come out of the candy bowl, you need to spend kind of micro time by putting your camera on it so you can see the area. So that's the major thing, is you got to be aware of what's coming at you, and you got to spend that time to focus your camera on that. So commanders who have to bounce back and forth their camera to do macro or to micro things could be affected a little bit on this, whereas commanders who can just F2A move things and do things pretty freely without having to look at their base too often will be doing a little better.
There's one more thing I'd like to add. Both of you put out good points. I'd like to add that the only time you actually need to put candy in the candy bowl is between 7 minutes and 10 minutes, because the unit that the civilians transform into varies depending on what time it is in the game. So from 0 minutes to 7 minutes, they transform into like Marines, Zerglings, Zealots, Firebutts, and they get stronger over time, but only until 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, you'll get stuff like hybrids, Lokis, battlecruisers, carriers, dude lords, swarm hosts. But after 10 minutes, it cycles back to Marines, Zealots, like the weak stuff. So you can totally just leave static defense there near the candy bowl after 10 minutes. But before 10 minutes, you do want to put candy bowl. But after 10 minutes, yeah, just leave static defense there and you'll be fine. So let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, pretty much, he's very resilient against Rift's Core Hall. Once you're pretty much focusing on getting his ultimate evolutions, and from that point, his macro is not too complex where you have to be looking back to base. In terms of the candy bowl, leaving toxic nest around it and the spore crawling it up is gonna be perfect fine. And another note about the candy bowl, to a certain extent, it might be fruitful for you not to give it any minerals or feed it, because the units that come out of it do drop biomass, do drop essence, do provide XP. So it could be an effective way of just farming a little bit more.
That's cool. Letter.
I have Abathur stay.
S to A. How about you, Zero?
I have him in B personally. I'm not that opposed to A tier. It's just that he has a really easy time dealing with the first wave, which is good, but he has to push through the bases, whereas some commanders can just snipe the shards, which I think is just a lot more convenient in this mutation, just because you don't have to wiggle your camera around to see where the enemies are shooting you from. But yeah, he's still really good, so I have him in B.
Speaking of sniping the shards, can you just go the first prestige and get like 7 devourers with 125 biomass and they pretty much never die?
Maybe it's
Yeah, that is a legitimate strategy.
I have done that before. It's pretty fun. The
Yeah.
devourers never die with full biomass essentially because they just out heal everything with their damage. Anyway, so both of you say you're okay with A. Let's put Abathur in A. Prestige wise, pretty much anything except the third prestige, you'll be fine. You can go just Ultimate Evolution solo. You can have Devourers with the first prestige. You can have Guardians with no prestige, just behind the Ultimate Evolutions, wailing away from a safe distance. You can, yeah, as Evelyn said, you can just have Toxic Nests all around the Candy Bowl to give you free biomass. Pretty good. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak. So he has two ways of doing this. He can either go Ascendants, which don't really care about vision, but have a guess awkward time pushing to bases. It still works. Or you can go Destroyers. I think both are very valid options. The perk of Destroyers is you can fly around the, I guess, what is it, the dead space on this map, so you don't have
Yes.
to fight a portion of the bases.
Yes.
Yeah, the upside of Ascendants though is that you don't really need vision for them to deal damage, so just pick whatever you want. His army isn't very durable, so you kind of have to know where the enemies are to look at them, so the destroyers can't kill them. But if you do that, he's pretty good. Yeah, I have him in B tier, just because he has to push through bases, even if he skips some of them.
B tier. How about you, Eveling?
Yeah, I have Alarak from A to B. Pretty much get the mothership out, destroyers, fly around the dead space, snipe the shards, and then everything else stays back at home and just focuses on defending and the candy bowl.
All right.
Pretty straightforward, as I could split your attention those two ways.
Okay, Alarak goes in B. Prestige wise, you want the third one, right?
Yes.
All right, Arcturus, S tier. Let's move on. Just kidding. Arcturus, where do we have him?
S to A, pretty much as Zero said, he's one of the best commanders to essentially attack things without even needing vision. You kind of have a general idea where the shards are. Go get yourself on ESO Island, which is the top left kind of dead space area where no units pass through. Set up there and rain down heck on shards and the mission. And again, maybe get out of a few royal guards so that way you can soak up the XP and let the candy bowl just pump out units and have a few bunkers there to
Defend.
deal with them. And yeah.
How about you, Zero?
Yeah, I have him in S tier. I'm not opposed to the double S. The mission objective
neither.
isn't a thing. You have a contaminated strike, which means the waves won't even come to you if you land it. No,
Yeah,
you don't even have to be efficient with your energy. Even if you miss like contaminated strike, you're still fine.
you're
Yeah,
absolutely
he has
fine.
really easy
This is
time
his map.
early game. Yeah, yeah, I think double S.
Are you okay with double S, Eveling?
Not opposed at all.
Okay. Toxic Tyrant will get you. Will get your job done. You can still get a job done with any other prestige, but Toxic Tyrant will give you extra mandate with the Earth Splitters. So let's move
I'd
on.
actually recommend P3 just for the easier early game,
That's
because you don't
true.
really need that many con strikes.
That's true. That's true. Let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis. So this guy, he has tempests, which they're okay for sniping shards. They're kind of like I guess they're normally better than destroyers, but in this case, not really. Yeah, you push with them through the dead space, so he doesn't have to fight through all the bases. But he doesn't have a great way of getting vision either, and his army isn't that tanky, although Ristocorhol doesn't have that much anti-air, or at least dangerous anti-air in the bases, so you shouldn't lose exactly. You have top bar for the wave, so you don't have to pull your army back. The Archon dudes will just take care of it. I haven't been either B or C.
B or C. How about you, Evoling? Or yeah, how about you, Evoling?
I have Artanis from A to B. It's essentially the same area where Alarak is, kind of playing in a similar fashion. You can put down your power field, warp in more stuff to support Tempests that are sneaking around in the back line, and if you can get some ground space, then you can start warping in some ground units there. The orbital strikes from P3 are going to allow you to clear the way pretty easily. It's just, take your time, get through it, defend the candy bowl, defend your bases, and just whittle down the shards in a timely manner. You should be fine.
All right, both of you are okay with B. Let's put in B. I actually personally had an A because of the Tempest thing, but you guys said B. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, again, he can benefit from the candy bowl. I have him from pretty much in the same spot as Abathur, S-A.
Oh, okay. How about you, Zero?
Sorry, Zero. I bet.
I have an S tier. The pack leaders give you vision, even if you're not looking at them, so the waves aren't a thing. For the shards, you just move the swarm hosts to the not swarm hosts, creeper hosts to the ESO plateau, and from there they'll just snipe all the shards. They're slightly harder than ESO, because you actually have to click the shards, but it's just as good. Yeah, he has easier time than Manx in the early game due to having a hero, so I have him either double S or S.
Hey, what do you think, Evoling?
Nice. I'm not opposed to either. So if you guys do think he's double S, I'm more than willing to put him with Mix.
Yeah, he's just Earth splitters that shoot up, sort of. Yeah, any prestige will work. You're fine. Just throw a pack eater whenever you get attacked. You're fine. Doesn't matter. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Do the pack eaters ignore Afraid of the Dark?
I'm not sure if they ignore it, but they provide vision.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's the same amount as they would normally, but they definitely provide vision, so you don't have to look at them.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. Phoenix, where do you have him?
Phoenix, so you don't care about the money at least, because I assume you're just gonna go P2 here, which naturally just floats a lot because the units are so cheap. For the shards, you can either just like brute force your way through or just Caldalis snipe. I think both are perfectly valid, although the Caldalis way requires a little bit of more map knowledge. Yeah, I think he's around B or A.
B
He
or
doesn't
A?
really struggle anywhere.
All right. How about you, Eviling?
I agree. Yeah, I have him from A to B. He's kind of in the same boat as Alarak Artanis. Pretty much, it seems like almost most of the protest commanders are going to be in the same boat.
Okay. So B or A?
I'm
Let's
leaning
put him in
towards
B.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Prestige wise, you want the second one?
I think so.
How
Doesn't
about
really matter though.
okay?
I think you can make him work with all of them. The
Yeah.
main thing is make use of Arbiter, and then get in. Try to avoid the encampments that you don't need to go through, and go around and back and warp in your champions. Or I mean,
Yeah.
recall your champions and clear it,
Kind
get
of.
out.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move on. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
Han and Horner, they're not the greatest, but I think they can get through this pretty easily. Uh, a little work. The good thing is, uh, your Thelia Ravens will be able to provide some sort of pseudo vision when you get them out, so you can kind of see where you need to start placing airstrikes and be aware of incoming things. You still have to move your camera in order to actually attack them, but at least gives you a little sense of the battlefield layout, and make use of their attack jumping in and being able to, especially when you get to the second or the third shard set, there is that middle shard that has dead space right in back of it. You can start tack jumping stuff right back there.
Yeah.
You can take it out pretty much unhindered, and then the other two, once you're done with that, tack jump out to the unpathable areas and start whittling down the shards. Yep. I have like I feel kind of like they're Protoss commanders, but so I'm saying probably B to C.
B to C. How about you, Zero?
More like
I haven't been C tier. They're still okay. They just require a little bit more knowledge than the other guys, I'd say. They don't have starting defense for one. So you either just don't hit F2 or just leave a bunch of widow mines out there, which can be annoying, but it's not the end of the world. For the offense, I think you either go like BC or Wraith if you know where the detection is, just because the bases on the skull have like no detection, so you can easily like strike fighter the spores or turrets and then just snipe the shards. But yeah, you need to know where the detection is for that. I think others are just a lot easier, even if they're similar strength.
Letter
C.
C. Okay. Both of
Yeah.
you said C. Let's put them in C. How do you guys feel about Galactic Gunrunners? Just mass airstrike the shards. That
It
does
is-
work.
It is a
Yeah.
yeah. There's no time constraint on the mission. Well, I mean there is a time constraint, but like artificial time constraint put on by a mutator such as like Voidrus. So yeah, you're free to macro up. That you can make that happen.
I feel like it's actually
I
a
don't-
pretty good way for Hot Horn to do this. I actually had personally had a Horn in A because they can do the airstrike thing. It's just mass airstrike. The only thing I have to watch out for is like Terran. But with Terran, you can just look for the bunkers, shoot them down. Once the bunkers are down, your airstrikes can just take out all the void shards. But you guys both said C. Let's put him in C. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax. So he doesn't have to push through bases, which is good for him. He has really good cannons, which I mean, not that he needs them. Any cannon will do, but it's a bonus. Yeah, he just either goes mirages and then zaps away the defenders, or just observers and orbitals and solar lances, the shards. Both work just fine. Well, he defends at home with his cannons.
Let's click
So
down
yeah, I
the
haven't been
shards.
A tier.
A tier. How about you, Eviling?
Yep. I have Karax from A to B. His defense is solid, and when he actually has to deal with the shards, I mean, with ally providing vision, or if he's getting vision somehow, then just space lasers are. A-man can't do anything about it as long as you got the spirit of doing energy.
Yeah. Okay, both of you said A. Let's put him in A. Prestige wise, you want the third one?
Definitely P3.
Preferable.
Yeah, Solar and Celestial. I actually had him in S, but both of you said A. Let's put him in A. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, you're definitely gonna want Omega Worms. The good thing is, once you start building up your Omega Worm count, they serve as a good buffer. Even if you don't have your vision allocated there, Amon still sees it, and we're gonna start whacking away. So it could be kind of like, in some sense, a detector for you of where the attack waves are coming in from. You can try shard sniping strategy using air units, so like Brood Lords. I would prefer, if you're making Omega Worms already, just try to get vision by sneaking an Overlord in to get you vision, get your Omega Worm set up, and just unload and take out the shard, load back in, next shard. I have her from A to B.
A to B. How about you, Zero?
So the first wave can be an issue because it comes really early. But other than that, she's good. She has bonus minerals from assimilation aura, so feeding the the
Candy
the
ball.
candy ball won't really be an issue. As for the pushing part, she can deploy a worm in like close to the enemy base. I think you want to go P2 because the zaps should just zap the enemies even if they're outside of your vision. Yeah, for the units, you probably just go like Ultra. It doesn't you don't have to go air units just because you'll pop out of your worm ideally anyway. Although you can if you want to. Yeah, her army isn't that bulky if you're not going Ultra, so I have her in B2A.
All right. So is it A or B?
Uh,
Just
Probably
because of her
First wave.
uh, yeah, the first wave problems. Let's just stick her in B. Abathur and Karax handle the first waves a lot better than Kerrigan, so I think that's justified there.
Nova. Where do we have him?
Nova. So she has a hero unit that's permanently super cloaked, so pushing won't be an issue. Her sabotage drone doesn't require vision, you just kinda drop it. The nuke has even bigger radius, so you just drop into the enemy base and that just one-shots most dangerous defenders, and then you finish it off with flips. So pushing's not an issue at all. To defend the waves, you have an airstrike, so that shouldn't really be an issue at all. And even if you miss some enemies, you should have a ground army back at home. Yeah, the first wave can be like the slightly difficult part, but then you just have marines and defensive drones, and that shouldn't be a problem either. Yeah, I have her in S tier.
S tier. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Nova SA. She's not affected by economy mutator. She's this is not a high attrition mutator. She has good, pretty good defense. If you're using liberators, siege tanks, things of that sort. Yeah, P3. She's gonna pretty much be unhindered and raining down hell onto the areas. And as you're navigating Nova around, you're putting vision around her. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's
S
it.
tier. Prestige wise, you want the third one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's move on. Raynor. Where do we have him?
Raynor. So you shouldn't be like well, you should get mules. The good thing is feeding cannibal only requires minerals. So of all the commanders in like mid to late game, Raynor is without a doubt, if they're muling properly, they should not be having any mineral problems at all. They should be the ones that are feeding the cannibal, almost like taking care of good share of that. His defense is okay, and the thing is, when you get to a point when you can start affording scans, which is somewhere between mid and late game, then scans is kind of essentially negating the afraid of the dark portion, because even if your camera's not there, as long as you scan, it'll reveal the area. Similar to, I guess, like other vision mutators like darkness and things of that sort. The main thing is focus on getting your economy going. Once your economy is going, then you'll be in a good spot. I kind of the usual. He goes along with Han and Horner. Han and Horner has good tools. Raynor has good tools to handle these mutators, but they're not the best. So B to C.
All right. How about you, Zero?
I have him in A tier personally. Your Banshee cooldown can handle the first two set of shards, so you're not under any time pressure while you just boom up. You make a BC fleet, because they're not very mineral expensive, so you'll have a lot of orbitals to just scan and feed the candy ball. You can leave like I think just a single bunker with marines and then
Yeah,
SCV repairing it, and that just defends the candy ball
I was about
easily.
to say, just
Yeah,
put a
and then
bunker.
yeah, for the objective sniping, you just because you're not pressured early game, you just have a lot of PCs, and you should have so many orbitals that you just scan away, so you're not affected by the mutator. Yeah, he's slow, but he's really good. I think. Have him in A.
What do you think, Eviling?
I'm not opposed to putting him into A. I feel those are all good points. Now, the only thing that I would like to question is he as good as Abathur, as good as Karax, or
If you
good as
play him,
Alarak?
if you
I
play
would
him
take
like
him over
Lyra,
Abathur, personally.
Yeah,
because
that's
Yeah.
fair. I mean,
I think
I
if
don't mind
you
giving Raynor some love.
I think if you play Raynor quote unquote the right way, if you are smart about sniping detection and anti-air with your Hyperion, if you're smart about sniping stuff like Vipers, like Thors, hybrids, you should be able to just fly battlecruisers and just have an easy time. And again, just put a bunker with Marines inside to defend the candy bowl. And don't fall into the trap of just massing orbitals because you're by the time you have enough orbitals, your ally already completed the game. It's not a difficult mutation. Oh my goodness. Anyway, uh, so are you guys all both okay with A?
Yeah.
I'm
All
perfectly
right.
fine with putting him in A. Yeah.
All right. Turns out Raiders A. A. Prestige twice. You want the third one?
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Step Boy. Where do we have him?
Stetmann. So placing Stellites will be slightly awkward, but it's not really a big deal. His army is really bulky, so even if you're getting shot through enemies you don't see, you don't really care. And the what's it called? The beam that Gary has, yeah, that doesn't care about
Igor.
vision. He just drop it in the direction of the enemy. That kills them.
Yes.
Yeah, then your legs just run in and kill the shards. You can also go for like corruptors and just pee on the shards until they melt away. That also works. Yeah, I have him in A tier personally.
A tier. How about you, Eveling?
Yeah, it's super Gary. He as long as he can get the Steadlights placed down and then overcharge them, he kind of doesn't care and just starts going in wrecks shards and anything else that comes its way. Send in lings so they get popped and essentially provide the best oil to Gary. So the super Gary, super duper Gary, and just starts really wailing away on stuff. And lings in itself, even if you don't have they're for what they are, they're pretty durable, and if they get killed uh, by because you're not providing vision, it doesn't
Doesn't
really matter
matter
because
because they're so cheap.
yeah, they're distracting. They're keeping stuff from getting to your base as long as you know it's coming to your base and you eventually deal with it. I would definitely suggest put all your so as your units do get recycled, so they get recycled from spawning pool. If you're making hydras, they get recycled from the hydra den, etc. Put them near the candy bowl. So when the stuff gets recycled, they're right at the candy bowl and they can deal with it.
So,
Um,
letter?
I'm perfectly okay with Este.
S to A. So, Zero, how do you feel about S?
I'm fine with it. He's really good.
Okay. I guess you're both fine with S. Let's put him in S. Prestige twice. You want the second one? There you go.
Yes.
Stukov. Where do we have him?
Stukov, he can do brainless P3 and he's gonna do perfectly fine. It's just gonna take a while to get through all of it because most of the infested Marines are not going to be able to do their damage. But yeah, you gotta be managing your camera appropriately. But yeah, he'll get through it. I would say probably S to A is fine for him.
How about you, Zero?
I have him in A tier, though not opposed to S either. Yeah, I think you're just gonna go P3 here, like Evelyn said. And even if your troopers get shot by enemies you can't see, it doesn't really matter, just because the bunkers will just send more. Yeah, the queens, I believe, the symbiote gives like a flat vision instead of like percentage increase. So even with Afraid of the Dark, I think you still can give vision. Not that you'd be giving
Yeah,
it to your
it
troopers.
does.
Yeah, but if your
It does
ally,
counter.
yeah, for your ally, it could be a nice buff for them. Uh, yeah, for the candy ball, he can just leave like 2 to 3 bunkers there, and the trickle will just kill the units that spawn.
All
And
right.
you're not pressed on time here, so even if it takes you a while, he'll eventually get enough bunkers to just steamroll the map.
Okay. So, are you both okay with S?
Yeah.
Okay. So one more thing I'd like
So
to add: the Alexander, when it controls enemies, it steals their vision. So you get normal vision, while the Alexander is mind controlling units. That's really good. The normal vision is such a huge thing on this mutation. Let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann. So uh his pushing will be really awkward just because he can't be like Karax and just top bar the shards away. So what he'll probably have to do is just teleport in a Herc, use the pulse cannon, and then try to snipe the shard with wraiths. Just hope you don't miss a valuable target like a viper, because then you may not have a good time. Yeah, if you know like your concentrated beam positionings, you should be okay. But yeah, it's just slightly more risky and map knowledge demanding than the A tiers, so I have him in B.
How about you, Eveling?
I think concentrated beam is like a fantastic ability for this because it doesn't really care about vision. If you have a pretty good sense of where most things are on the map or good map knowledge, yeah, you just fire in that direction and you're pretty much sitting pretty. Uh, I would suggest for Swann using P2 so that way you're not doing anything to affect uh, your laser drill, and you just get out a bunch of wraiths and do the usual Swann things. Use his enhanced defense to defend and defend around the candy bowl. And you don't really have to dedicate the minerals um, to feeding the candy bowl. Just kill it with your static defense. Uh, Definitely not as straightforward as the likes of Nova, Stetmann, or Stukov. Uh, but yeah, I would say he's gonna do pretty good. My feeling is he's kind of where Raynor level or even Alarak level. So A to B.
Okay, so both of you are okay with B. Let's put Swann in B. He's won again. There we go. Prestige wise, you want the second one?
Yes.
Okay. Tychus, where do we have him?
I guess it's gonna be a little pain in the ass with him because yeah, just the entire vision deal. You can, I think any of the procedures are good, but yeah, sacrificing nuke is not a good idea because nuke kind of doesn't really care. You just get the nuke down, and then the rest you don't need to get vision of. It's real devastating. You can do P1 if you're just trying to straight up push with all your outlaws, or if I mean P2, you still can just split, keep outlaws defending your extra outlaws defending your base and expansion, and just push with one of your outlaws and just play almost normally. Uh, I have him pretty much S to A.
S to A. Okay. How about you, Eveling? Or how about you, Zero? Sorry.
I have him in S tier. He has a really easy early game with the Outlaws from Lone Wolf. He can kill the first 2 sets of shards with just sniping them. Even the second set, he just runs in from the back and then uses his ability, and that will kill them. For the third and fourth set, you have Odin, which wipes out a large portion of the base, and then you can either fight through the remaining enemies with your outlaws and the Odin, or you just wait for another nuke because you have a lot of time here,
Yeah.
and then Sam just finishes off the shards. Yeah, I have him in S tier.
What do you think, Eveling?
Yeah, I said S to A, so
All right.
it's unanimous. So,
All right. I did have him S2, so it is unanimous. There we go. S tier for Tychus. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun, so the minerals in the early game can hurt her because she has to get a lot of tech, and especially if it's air, you have to tech into stargates, then get a decent amount of corsairs, and then a fleet beacon, which probably isn't ideal. Her objective doing is actually really good with time stop. If you could just
Yeah.
like mask Oracle and then right click the shards alongside the Shadow Guard, and that like 1 to 2 time stops will just kill all sets of shards, including the last one.
Assuming you
So
look
that
at
won't
them.
be an issue. Yeah, you have to look at them, which is like the only issue, but you're not doing much at home, so it doesn't matter. For the attack waves, she has Black Hole, which the nice thing about it is it groups all enemies in one spot, so you don't even have to look around to know where they are. You just look into the black hole, and your units will kill them eventually. I have her in like B2C.
Wait a minute. How about you, Eveling?
yeah, I agree with all the points Zero made. She pretty much pretty much is just waiting on her time stop. Using P3, just make sure to spam your shadow guards whenever off cooldown, so you're powering up your time stop. No, there's no time pressure. Just manage your camera appropriately, tech up, defend, and then time stop, destroy objectives. She's not gonna be hindered. She doesn't have like pushing power like Alarak, Artanis, Phoenix. So you're just waiting on time stop. So B2C is appropriate in my opinion.
B or C?
Uh,
Well, you-
I'd say she's okay. So putting her in C, saying that she's Han and Horner level. Oh, I feel Han and Horner can kind of manage a little better than Vorazun and waiting for a time stop because they can keep the pressure going.
I had the Hunter Hornet
But
A, by the way.
time, time stop is like potent.
All right. So is it
So
B? More like B or more like C?
either low B or high C.
How about you, Zero?
So to compare them to Han and Hoarder, I think Han and Hoarder is a little bit more work just because you have to consistently keep strike fightering the shards, whereas Vorazun just sits there for 4 minutes and then gets vision and just time stops. Yeah,
Yeah,
Vorazun also
that's a
has
fair argument.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair argument.
This
Okay,
is the same
B.
time stop. Okay. Vorazun and B. Vorazun. Prestige wise, Vorazun has 1 prestige. Keeper of Shithouse. Let's move on. Zagara. Where do we have him?
Zagara, our early game, yeah, you get as long as you build your bailing nest in an appropriate amount of time, you have enough bailing to deal with the first wave, no problem. She can push pretty good because like when you're usually pushing with her, you have your camera on that area. Keep your I would say keep your bailing nest near the candy bowl. So if things pop out, then you have bailings there in their face ready to go. Uh, in terms of like being able to nail things without vision, she has the ability to do so. Bio launchers, and you can
Hey!
kind of on the same ESO island that Minx is on, and you'll be able to get a I'd say you can do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Most of them.
Possibly, yeah, most of them, except for the real deep ones. And but yeah, uh with Zag, you whittle down the shards, whittle down the defenses with bio launchers, and then send in the rest of your army and take it out. If you want to be fancy, or you could just make your army and just roll in, as long as you're managing your camera appropriately. So I'd say not Nova, Tychus, or Stukov, Stetmann level, but yeah, pretty high up there, A to B.
A to B. How about you, Zero?
I have her in an A tier. She has a hero unit, so the early game won't really be an issue. She can kill the second and first set of her shards with just the hero unit, which is really nice. And then when she gets to the ESO plateau, I believe you can kill the two of the third set shards with bio launchers, and then for the top left one, he just deep tunnels Abathur, and she snipes that one too. So the only real threat is the last set of shards, in which you still bio launcher down one of them. The far left one, and I think you can also just bio launcher down the very right one
The ramp
by
one.
by place. No, not the ramp one, the one right to the ramp, because you can make a hatchery there and then just buy a launcher from the low ground, and that should be safe. So the only real issue in terms of shards are just the middle ones, in which you should have so much money at that point that you just throw Scourge at it, and it doesn't really matter if you see the enemies, just because the goal of your units is to explode on the shards anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're shot. So yeah, I think A is fine for her.
Okay, guys, hear me out here. I have Zagara in S, and I used the second prestige, and I just mass corruptors, and I right-click the shards, and they don't die. They're like Abathur's devourers, but cheaper, and you can get way more of them. And again, they don't die. They can out heal the damage. I think it's easy enough that once you get past like 5, if you can survive the first wave, that's the only tricky part because you're using the second prestige, so you have to manually make
have
Banelinks.
feelings.
But after that point, like, it's so easy. Just get your expansion, and just max on corruptors, and then wreck the shards. Amo will try to shoot you. In fact, he will shoot you a lot, but the corruptors just out heal it. And you just develop Zagara at home.
The funny thing about that is they're still worse than the Stetmann corruptors.
That's true, but
They have a worse hero unit.
that's true. That's
Yep.
true. That being said, they don't die. That's why I still think it's S.
Okay, so the question is slightly weaker Stetmann still S tier? I'm not opposed to
Yeah.
it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it either, but like the lineup that we have in S,
Is
does
Nova,
she belong?
Stetboy, Stukov, and Tychus. I think the experience here will be similar to a Tychus, where as long as you don't mess up majorly, you'll be fine.
I mean, that goes for this mutation as a whole. It's not a very difficult one.
I mean, the experience is it's straightforward. Like, you just right click the shards, and as long as you don't do something silly, like I don't know, just standing around your corruptors, not looking at them while they're fighting, that can lose you an army. But you can just remake your army. The corruptors are really cheap. Well,
I guess it comes down to time to kill the shard. Tychus definitely will take down the shard much
15
quicker
minutes.
than a whole bunch.
No, we did 15 minutes.
Who is
Okay.
we?
Oh, me and Cage.
You and
Cage,
Tutu.
Cage was the one who played Zagara. I told him what to do. He did it with the first time. I just told him what to do. First try, 15 minutes. I mean, he actually did both bonuses. So so that delayed it to like 17 minutes. But like no time pressure at all. Both bonuses 17 minutes.
I'm fine with it. It's just, yeah, she's a worse Stetmann, so it's difficult to rank.
Yeah, I'm still a little hesitant on S. I mean, if you guys are willing to go with it, I'll go with it. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
if you don't
are going,
if you don't get sidetracked with the bonus, you can get it done in 15 minutes. And that's with a maxed out army. So even if you lose all that, you have another 15 minutes to macro up 2 more fleets of corruptors. Even if you majorly mess up. I think that's S tier worthy.
and if you are doing the bonus with that tactic, make sure you use the corruptor's ability, corruption.
Yeah, Cage did.
It
Cage
definitely
did.
good.
So, do we have an S?
I mean, here's the thing I'm thinking though.
Yeah.
It feels weird having bad Stetmann on the same tier as Stetmann,
He's
but I
not.
don't think it's right to also bump Stetmann up. Because he's not on par with like Dehaka and Arcturus.
I mean, she could be bottom of S, and Stetmann could be
I
top
mean,
of S, and like it'll still work.
yeah.
I'm okay with bottom of
Yeah.
S. I'm okay with
Yeah, I
bottom
think
of
that's
S.
right.
Okay. Still S though. Zagara and S tier. Change your name to Zagara. Just take a trip to the Zagara desert. Zeratul, where do we have him?
He can. He has really good cannons, so the candy ball won't really be an issue. For the shard sniping, you can either just units, or you can get vision of like an observer and then just deploy cannons, or you could just buff stack and then right click the shards with Zeratul himself. I'd personally go for the buff stacking, but if you don't know how to do it, that's also fine. Yeah, he has no issues with the waves, just with his units are far too strong. Yeah, I have him in S tier, maybe A.
For those of you who are not aware, there's a strategy for Zeratul where you can keep spamming load and unload with Zeratul when the artifact of essence is active, and that will stack buffs on Zeratul and make him attack really fast. But I have never tried it. It sounds very action intensive, and if you guys can do it, great, more power to you. But that's something I would personally not really try. Anyway, how about you, Eviling?
Yeah, cannon is good. I'm not. I'm pretty sure I recall correctly. Tutu has done a no mining run with Zeratul on this.
Of course he has. It's an easy
Um,
mutation. Of course he has.
yeah. Uh, now whether he's uh double S, I don't think so. But yeah, S to A, I think is a good place for him.
S to A. So S or A?
I say S.
S. Okay.
Yep.
He's once again Zeratul. All right. Does anyone else go in double S?
No, unless we want to move those guys to triple S.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just on a different tier.
Oh my goodness. So who's top of double S?
Uh, Arcturus?
Arcturus?
Dehaka's
Yeah.
say so.
Okay. Then Dehaka. Who's top of S?
Uh,
That boy.
I'd say
yeah, I'd say Stetmann.
I'm leaning more toward Turnova, but yeah, I'm not opposed to Stetmann.
Okay.
Yeah, then I'd say Nova.
Then Nova. And
I
then
think so.
Yep.
Zeratul.
Tychus?
Yeah, Tychus also good.
Tychus.
Then
Yeah,
Zeratul.
then Zeratul.
Yeah, Zeratul, Stukov,
Stukov,
Zagara.
Zagara. There you go. Who's top of A?
Jimmy.
Okay. I personally have Karax, but okay, if you say Raynor. Next,
Karax?
then Abathur. Okay. Who's top of B?
Alarak, I guess.
Okay, Alarak, yeah. And then
They're all
actually, why not? Why not Artanis top of B?
good question. They're all like the same.
Yeah.
They play
Artanis is
exactly
really
the
good at
same.
sniping, and he has shield overcharge. He has Archon dudes.
Yeah.
Like you could be very safe as Artanis here.
Yeah, he has an easier time with waves, but I think his pushing slightly worse, just because Tempest can't really make use of their long range.
I guess defense might also be an issue. Alarak has low overcharge.
Yeah, overcharge, and then you just have a bunch of supplicants with a hero unit back home.
Yeah, I guess we can. I guess we can call Artanis just because of the defense. Put Artanis higher. Or sorry, Alarak higher, and then Artanis.
Yeah, I'm fine
Yes.
with that.
Yeah. That sounds more reasonable. Now, speaking of defense, I'd say Swann does better on the defense side.
Yeah,
So, and concentrated beam again doesn't require vision and goes back map
Goes brrr.
from laser draw all the way to the end of the map. So, which one is better? Between Alarak, Artanis, and Swann. I'm kind of leaning more towards Swann,
Okay.
just because of concentration.
And then who's next? Phoenix or Kerrigan?
I think Phoenix. Kerrigan has really
Yep.
hard time with the first wave.
Okay.
Yep,
And then
exactly.
Vorazun. And then Horner. All right, I think that's gonna be it. We're not gonna have commander synergies because it's so easy. Like half the commanders are S
Yeah.
tier. Well, not almost half. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for it, also please leave that in a comment. I'll see you guys next time.